Hello, this is Pala Jasmine, and it's going to be a quick video blog, and hopefully it will be a quick video blog, not more than 10 minutes. We'll see about that. We'll see if I can make it 10 minutes or less. We'll do my best. But anyway, today's topic, I just want to talk um, about something that I've been interested in that not many people may know about this. At least people that know me here in the United States. But I do like watching Japanese animation, or anime as they call it here sometimes. Um, I It depends on the show. I have watched a few animations online. I watched Tiger and Bunny, the season on Hulu. It was very interesting. I highly enjoyed that one. Um, I watch a lot of Yu-Gi-Oh. Um, Yu-Gi-Oh! I've been interested because of the card game. I do play Yu-Gi-Oh too, and if you don't believe me, this is a Yu-Gi-Oh card. It's called Creepy Kuni. I have a deck that I built, but I haven't played due to my work schedule. I work third shift, so I barely have time to go and play at the stores. I don't like going to do on that work because some people are just they're not very nice to you when you play sometimes, and I don't like that. So I don't want to deal with that kind of shit going on down there. So I don't go there too often. Um, anyway, um, so yeah, I do like some animation, Japanese animation, some anime, and I got into it in college. It was around. In, I've gotten already into RPG games back in high school. And it was until like around 1992, 93, where I was able to get my first RPG games. The first RPG game that I ever got was GORPS, third edition. Um, and I read most of it, and I was running my own campaign in school whenever I had the chance. And also I got introduced to D&D, but I didn't have access to the books or anything. So, but I enjoyed D&D. You know, like the idea of the concept caught my attention, and you know, I love fantasy fiction. I read a lot of fantasy fiction because of that. Currently, I'm reading a book that I'm reading recently. I apologize if you saw that. Nothing to see there. Just my personal stuff. Anyway, yeah. Lately, I've been reading this book, The Sword of Shannara. I'm on chapter. Chapter something. I think chapter 10. I'm after the chapter 10. The part after Alan explained Shia and Flick the history of the war and the origins of the Warlock King, which is the enemy in the book. Anyway, so I'm reading that book because I like fantasy fiction. Um, and D&D, I was into it as soon as I arrived in college. I was able to find a group to join and start playing the game, which was Advanced Dungeons and Dragons Second Edition. Um, and I 1995, new people came to college and all that stuff, so I was still playing Advanced Dungeons and Dragons Second Edition with my friends, and we'll be on weekends sometimes. So, and then some of my new friends, when they like anime and Japanese animation, they tried to create, or I think they were able to create an anime club at school, and they would do events where they over a weekend where they would show different animes. There's also a gaming convention that on my college campus um, that started around that date, or 95, 96, and that was an interesting year to be in college for me, because I had the experience of losing my grandfather in 1995, and it was the first time, like, after my grandfather died, I decided, and a few of my friends to this day, what got me surprised was, like, they didn't believe me that I was going to do what I was going to do. I ended up doing my first PRSM, which was this one here. And when I arrived home, like, my mom died. My My mom basically died when I arrived. When I arrived home with my piercing, my mom went like, "Oh my God, what have you done?" So like I was questioning my gender identity at that point, and although I keep it a secret for myself because I knew that I felt scared of discussing that with my friends in college and also with my family, so I didn't have too much stuff to identify with until I saw the animation of Grandma Half, or Grandma One Half, as ever you want to call it. It's Grandma One Half. And Grandma One Half catch my attention because he was a boy that when he would get a bath in cold water, he would turn into a girl, and when he reverts back, he will take a bath in hot water, and turn back into a boy. So he was all struggling with his own gender identity, basically. Although, from what I've been seeing in the anime and from what I heard, like he seems to be preferred to be a boy, but he sometimes found a way of using his girly side to overcome some of the obstacles that he faced, which is quite interesting. But the reason that it caught my attention is because he was a boy and he turned into a girl, and me being a boy back then, I wanted to turn into a girl. I just didn't know how to do it, neither where to go for help and where to go for that. And at that point, I think I was just like to wish it was that easy as just getting yourself a cold water and then turning yourself into a girl. Recently, also, I started watching the catching up on the series on Hulu, and I've been watching a few of the episodes of. It's been taking me a while because I've been busy sometimes. I work almost for six days a week sometimes, so I don't have too much time to watch it online. But I've been watching the series online, and I've been watching catching up on the episodes, and on top of that, the one that I originally got introduced to was the anime, the Japanese animation. I think a friend of mine, he collected the mangas back then, and this year I went to Barnes and Nobles, and while I passed on the manga section, I found out this. They republished the mangas of the lighting is so bad, but like, yeah, let me see. Oh, here we go. The lighting. Yeah, I found this. I found the manga republished in volumes. Like this one is volume 1, 2. I also got here volume 3 and 4, 5 and 6, 7, 8. Oh wait, 7 and 8, and finally, I just got this one recently, 9 and 10. So yeah, I've been reading Japanese manga, and Ranma is one of my favorite titles. I know some people have suggested other titles, but I don't want to spend too much money. For me, it's like reading a comic book, and I myself am also a comic book fan. I like reading. I used to be reading Stormwatch, and I have comic books of Stormwatch around here somewhere. Stormwatch. I was reading Stormwatch. I was reading Birds of Prey. I also was reading Red Hood and the Outlaws because a friend of mine did the artwork for that series of the New 52. But with the economic things, with my economic trouble getting difficult after I lost some income, I just decided to stop buying comic books. So I stopped buying comic books, and now I no longer collect comic books. Well, I don't say no longer. I'm pretty sure that if I walk into a comic book store, I will probably buy whatever comic books I can find of my favorite titles. I also like She-Hulk because she's very strong and she's smart, so it's almost like me. Like I do weightlifting, and I do work out with weights. So She-Hulk is one of my favorite superheroes because of that, the fact that she's super strong plus also she's smart, and that's why I like her. But yeah, I started reading the manga, which I haven't never read, and I found it so fascinating. It's so interesting, especially because of all the characters. They even have one character, And I'm sorry from here on, if you want to stop the video, stop it, because otherwise you get a spoiler of like what happened in the series. But I got to a series where Ranma, he told this character was a boy, and but in reality it was a girl, and she binds herself, and she basically kind of seems to behave as a boy most of the time. Her name is Ukyo, and it's interesting because I think Yuki in this case, Rama, he has because of the accident that happened to him in China, where he fell into a spring, and the spring gave him a course that whenever he gets splashing cold water turns into a girl. It's different from Ukyo because Ukyo is a genetic female, and she binds and behaves like a boy, so basically almost she's like trans basically, and I find that character interesting. And then there's the other character that came in that series that is a cross-dresser, and he's in love with Yukio, but he's a cross-dresser, but he spent most of the time as a girl. So when he first arrived, everybody thought that, oh, but you're a girl, you should be interested in boys, until Ranma basically discovered, okay, let me show you something. And then when he got out, it's like, dude, I'm a guy. And that was the funny part, like, okay, there's a cross-dressing character in there, which shouldn't surprise anybody, because it seems like Japanese culture, when it comes to it, seems to be more open like American culture to have this kind of thematics into manga series. But yeah, I found that very interesting. It caught me by surprise, and specifically in the volume that happened is in this one, in volume number 9, 10. So yeah, and I didn't get the name of the character. I know Yukio is one of them. What's the other one? What's the name? Yeah, I can't find the name here. Oh well. Anyway, but yeah, that's basically it. Like. So yeah. So here's a reveal where when Rama find the person he thought was a girl, it's a boy. So yeah, it's really cool, and I'm glad that they republished this, because it got me back into thinking about when I was growing up in Puerto Rico, and also when I was in college. And college I miss college. I have to say I miss a lot of like my friends from college. I think I lost one of my best friends in Puerto Rico. We used to hang out a lot. We used to go every Friday. That's the best experience that I have in Puerto Rico. Is with my one of my best friends. I haven't seen him in a while. And I know my people that will be watching this will realize who it is. But I haven't seen him in a while. I tried to contact him on Facebook, but it seems he doesn't remember me. And I don't blame him, because I changed. I basically, transition. He was also a person that I told him, like, before I moved here, we were hanging out in college, and I was saying, hey, I'm moving to the United States, but before I go, I want to tell you something. So I told him about the fact at that point I thought I was, cross-dresser, and he was surprised about it. I think he got scared about that because he didn't know what to expect. But he and I, we used to go a lot for Chinese food. Like I remember having my car, and some days we'll go and grab food, and I would invite him, and because my dad will always give me extra money, I will sometimes cover him, because I didn't want him, he didn't have. I realized that it was more fun to go with somebody than go by myself to grab some Chinese food. And we started going to different Chinese restaurants in the Mayagüez area, and we tried so many of the restaurants. We tried also different dishes, and I like that idea, because it was like, okay, what are you going to try here? Okay, I'm going to try this. I'm going to try this one. So we started trying different dishes of like different combinations that they make in the different restaurants, trying to find out which combinations were good and which combinations were like eh. And it's something that I still do here around by myself. Like sometimes I go to a Chinese food restaurant, and one day I order one thing, and then another thing, and I try to find combinations, things that I haven't tried in other places whenever I go. And but yeah, so I kind of miss that. I kind of miss him because of that. And he was also one of my best friends when it came to wrestling show. Well, you will drive to his house to see some of the pay-per-views back in the time that I was into pro wrestling, and I don't know what happened after I left. I guess I wasn't keeping in touch very well, so I lost the contact, and I know he has a Facebook page, and I tried to contact him, but I think it's too much the fact that I don't know, I'm a girl basically. I don't know how he feels about it, and I wish I could reconnect with him because he was an awesome person, and we have a lot of history together. We even used to play. We used to play in the same D&D group. He was a player sometimes, and I was. And we used to play in the same. Yeah, we used to play in the same group, D&D group, and we used to hang out during pro wrestling shows, and we also used to watch some animation, and that we're very good friends. He was one of my closest friends in college, and I appreciate the time I got to know him because he was one of the friends who actually cared about me. And when I broke when I got into pro wrestling, at the time I wasn't playing D&D that much. I was still keeping in touch with my friends, but I was into wrestling. I was training like 2 days a week and all that stuff. And out of a sudden I got the accident that I broke my ankle, which was after I took a back body drop. And if you don't know what the back body drop, just Google it, But I landed bad on my ankle, and I broke my ankle, and I couldn't drive. I was in a lot of pain, and I had to call him, and he came and he helped me, and basically if it wasn't for him, I would haven't gotten the foot treated, because I was fucking scared about the consequences of that, and but yeah, but I miss him because he was a very good friend of mine, and it's sad that I don't get to talk to him very often. Anyway, it's getting to a point where this is taking too long in time. I think I talk a lot, but yeah, my point about this video blog is the fact that I love Ranma Half. I love Japanese animation. It's nice that there's Japanese animation that dares to touch on a little bit of the gender identity and transgender topic. I wish there was more into. I wish I could have learned more about that earlier in my life, because I think I would have been like a very geek about Ranma Half at this point. But everything takes time, and I'm just glad that I've been able to find the manga being a privilege, because it's I love it. I'm happy, and it's nice to reconnect with my past, basically. Even though there are things that I don't like about the past and about my life as a when I was a boy, but like this is one of the things that I actually cherish when I was in Puerto Rico in college, Ranma Half, and I always wonder when was going to be the time that I was going to get the guts to transition, and it finally happened for me. And yeah, it took me a while. It took me. If I had the chance, I would have transition when I was in college in Puerto Rico, but I knew back then it wasn't the right place. It wasn't the right time, and so I had to postpone it. And even though it took me a long time, I'm glad that I was able to find a way to do it, because I'm more happier. I'm happy. I feel happy. I feel good about myself, and it's good. Like that battle of like my male and female side is gone, and but this helped me cope when I was in Puerto Rico, and I didn't have anybody to talk because I felt that I was going to lose my friends. And that's one of the other things. I'm glad that when I finally came out and my friends found out on Facebook, I'm glad that they didn't reject me. And to this day, it's nice that I have some of my friends from college. They are still my friends, and I'm glad that I have them. Because I don't know. I think going through this can be very tough and scary sometimes. You put your tell people, and if you have a different opinion, like, feel free to comment your position. But like, in my opinion, I think it's easier to be to come out as being gay or lesbian, because you don't change your body. Your body doesn't go through the changes that it goes through when you go through hormone replacement therapy as a transgender person. For me, that's been the biggest thing. Like, I going through all these changes, wondering how people are going to react when they see you, wondering how people are going to take you, because there's so much misinformation out there, and there's not many people are educated when it comes to the transgender subject. There's also misconceptions that people have about transgender people, and so it's scary to come out, basically. And for me, at that point in time when I was in college, that kind of served me to, like, oh, okay, this kind of like helped me cope a little bit, but I knew that I wasn't like Rima, because while Rima is temporary, I don't want, I guess if I had the power of Rima, I will try to find a way to make it permanent. And it seems like the easy option. The other fact that it's actually coming to terms is, like, when we transition, contrary to Rima, when he transitions, he turns into, his body totally completely changes. Like, she turns into a beautiful woman, basically. And I'm not saying that I'm not pretty or not. I think I'm pretty enough. To each their own taste, basically. You're welcome to differ here. Anybody's welcome to differ here. But that's the thing. You have to come to terms, because it's not like a magic saying where you turn completely and your body transforms into a woman. It takes years, takes time, takes a lot of money too. And also the fact is, like, even if you take hormones, like, hormones only do so much, that sometimes you may not get to turn into the pre-princess that your brain thinks you are, or that you want to be. Like, even sometimes I wish that was very pretty. I know that I have to deal with the fact, okay, my body, I was born as a male, and there are still some male traits in me. And yeah, surgery can correct some of those, but sometimes, like, my muscle mass, I'm concerned about, like, oh, some people tell me that I have too much muscle. I don't know, you be the judge of that. And I'm, like, showing things a very bad angle. Like, I got a lot of muscle mass, and my body is it is what it is. So I'm trying to, you have to find your own balance point. Are you going to be happy, or are you going to be torturing yourself at night about your gender identity, and about whether you look more masculine or more feminine. So yeah, pretty much what Grandma has done is help me to cope at that point in time. But also, I have realized that, like, there are different things that are not true when it comes to that, and that the expectations that I had back then were not true, but I totally have learned to cope with them and to accept them. In the end, being transgender it's not that big of a deal. We're still normal people. We'll still go through our lives. We work, we're people that can contribute good things to society. Our gender presentation varies from each person to each person. For me, I feel as equally comfortable wearing a t-shirt, one of my old t-shirts, as I feel comfortable wearing something very feminine. It's all to... There's no one way of being transgender. There's no one way of, like, transitioning. There's no one way of, like, figuring yourself out. It just takes time. And I think one of the things also that I find interesting is, like, in terms of, like, Grandma, it's the fact that Grandma also, even that he turns into a girl, he still fights. I used to do pro wrestling, and that was one of the things that I will have to leave fighting and the ring and all that stuff. But how I decided not to, and I'm glad that I didn't do it, and I'm glad that I'm trying to get back into it, because just because you're a girl or I'm a girl, doesn't mean that you have to stop doing the things that make you happy. And that's the thing that I also learned from one of the lessons that I learned from a friend is, like, even that he's a guy. That he turns into a girl, just because he turns into a girl, he doesn't stop being who he is. and even Akane, who is one of his fiancés, she also fights, you know, and Akane is probably an interesting character too in that storyline, because both seem to have feelings for each other, but they don't want to reveal it too much, and also they're always fighting, and Akane is also very, you know, she's a tough girl, you know, when it comes to like fighting martial arts. So yeah, it's interesting that about that, you know. And I think that's probably why I like that manga a lot and the animation too, is because you have these characters that are kind of similar to what I've been experiencing myself, basically, and I think I can find things to identify with them, and that's why I decided to buy the manga as soon as I saw it, and I love it. It's one of those things that haven't gotten the chance to talk to people, and I'm just happy that I'm doing this video blog. And if you like Ranma Half, and if you like animation, and you get to watch this, you know, like if you ever want to watch with me some animation, just let me know. You know, like this is something that not many people know about me, and something that I've been keeping for myself. But yeah, I do like anime, and Japanese animation, because I think it's fun and I think it's really good, you know, and I love watching it, and I love reading some of the mangas. So there I go. Anyway, this for now. The video went longer than I expected. I was to keep it under 10 minutes, but apparently I am not that good keeping it under 10 minutes because I got to talk a lot, and I think I got into other topics too. So yeah, maybe I'll reshoot the video. Anyway, if you see this online, then good. If not, hopefully you will get to see the 10-minute one.